Well, apparently we have some more stuff to think about, and that's pretty much what I've done all evening, is think about everything. So, we have been talking about Malcolm, and trying to figure out what Malcolm is, and there's all sorts of speculation online right now what Malcolm is. And everybody has taken a crack at Malcolm. Well, to get us the heat off of Malcolm, they decided to throw us out another bone. John Murdy issued another code name earlier this evening. And the code name this time is Teen Spirit. Okay, now, there are some ground rules for Teen Spirit, and of course, unfortunately, this has no connection to Nirvana or any of the members of the band. It doesn't have any connection to Kurt Cobain, Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic. It does not have any connection to any member of the band or offshoots, people that are in different bands now, like Dave Grohl's Foo Fighters. Doesn't have anything to do with that. No. That's really interesting that I would go that direction, because that's one of those, maybe it's right, maybe it's right. No, there's no connections. I've looked deep into it. There's nothing. Maybe Courtney Love's movie career would help us out on this, but I highly doubt it. If I have to look into it, I will later, because obviously this is something that I am doing now. I'm trying to decrypt these code words for Hollywood. This sounds to me like it could go either the way of it's only for Hollywood, and a couple of the guesses I'm going to give out today would be, yes, they're only for Hollywood. And a couple of the guesses I'm going to throw out would mean that they are potential shares with Orlando. So, I'm just going to mark this as a Hollywood speculation video until I know otherwise. Okay, let's get down to business, shall we? So, this is a code name that John Murdy has been talking about on Twitter for the last couple days. In between Malcolm lines, he's been talking about this Maze number 2, and he didn't really have a name for it, but he gave it the code word of Teen Spirit. So, here are the ground rules for Teen Spirit. Number 1. Aside from horror movies, Universal is famous for another genre of film, the teen comedy, which is the inspiration for this code name. Now, to solve the code name Teen Spirit, you first have to find an actor who appeared in a very famous Universal teen comedy. Now, once you find that actor, you'll find the theme of the maze. Part of the title of the maze is also one of the actor's credits. So, here are a couple hints to chew on. It takes place in high school. And it's a movie that John Murdy saw theatrically, but it's not known if he was old enough or if he snuck in. The final hint is the one that is very confusing. It is a movie title that has something to do with poker. Okay. Now, when I think about teen comedies, there are several that come to mind. Based on this criteria, I believe that this is a teen comedy from the 80s. Given the fact Murdy was born in 1967, according to his Facebook, so I'm going to guess that that's correct. 1967 means that he would have been 97. Yeah, we're going to go with that. 87, 88. I believe 1988 would be correct. And obviously, you know that Sir Owen Disney doesn't do math, so that was a guesstimate. So something around that time. He would have been of age in 1988. So something between the 80s and the 90s would probably be the right direction we're headed. Now, I do have a couple of 90s movies thrown in just in case. Dazed and Confused and American Pie. Why is there no American Pie 2, 3, and so on? Well, think about it this way. American Pie was the only one of the series that actually took place in high school. After the movie ended, they went into college and then so forth. So yeah, that's the reason why we're going there. Now, there's a lot of John Hughes in this list, so bear with me. So what did we come up with? Well, let's start with Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Now, I was looking into the collective works of the cast. I'm not just talking about acting performances. I'm talking about writing. I'm talking about producing. I'm talking about directing. And I'm talking about anything that they could be possibly credited for this performance. Or a performance in their careers. So I came up with a couple ones. Judge Reinhold in Fast Times, he was a part of a television series called The Dead Zone, based upon Stephen King. And there were a lot of people that were in these movies that were a part of The Dead Zone, so I think that that's probably going to be a no-go. Unless it's Stephen King's fill in the blank, which is a possibility. So, we've got that. Judge Reinhold was also a voice on the Boondocks cartoon series. Could that be a roundabout way to say we're getting a Boondock Saints maze? It's something that'd be rather interesting. It'd be very controversial, and it plays up for everybody really wanting The Exorcist this year, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So is it the Boondock Saints? Probably not, but it's something to think about. Then we go to 16 Candles. And 16 Candles, Jimmy Gertz. Jimmy Gertz was in The Lost Boys, and I already mentioned that The Lost Boys was an idea I came up with for Dr. Jimmy's tomato juice cryptic comment, the video that he shot out to us last month. And it's probably a long shot, but it's still a possibility. And don't forget that Brian Doyle Murray was in Ghostbusters 2, which could mean that Ghostbusters is not Malcolm, it's Teen Spirit. I don't think so, though. Then we're going to go to... Actually, I'm going to go to Weird Science. Weird Science, I'm going to talk about the king of personality himself, Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton was in a movie called A Bright, Shining Lie. Is Teen Spirit The Shining? Maybe, but I still think Malcolm's The Shining, so no, I'm not going to go with that. The biggest one of all. And this is, I'm going to give complete credit to Ferox on HNN's forum. Ferox said something that made complete sense to me. Now, John Barrowman was in Weird Science. And apparently to help with exorcisms, they say a St. Michael's prayer. Now, Michael Berryman was in another film called Teenage Exorcist. So, is The Exorcist our teen spirit? Literally teen spirit? Reagan is teen spirit? Get it? You know, it's very possible. And actually, I'll throw another line out to The Exorcist as well in a minute. But we'll get to that in a second. Now, it's really interesting, isn't it? We'll get to The Breakfast Club. Obviously, it's something that we want to draw from. There's a lot of talent in this list. But when it comes down to it, there's not very many names that really pop up. I'm going to go with the big one right off the top. And that is Molly Ringwald. Now, of course, Molly Ringwald is a cornerstone of John Hughes films. And she has a very storied career as well. Now, she also was in a television film called An American Girl on the Home Front. So, could this mean that Teen Spirit is Hollywood's American Werewolf in London? You know, it's a very good possibility. That being said, there was also Endless Love, which most people probably completely gloss over, a very horrible film. Brooke Shields' career connects to a movie called The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. 2 reasons why. And there's another one, but I'll come to that in a minute. So, Anthony Michael Hall, he was also in the Dead Zone, but the big thing here is he also was cast in the television version of Poltergeist, which Mystic Freak called right away on Facebook was Teen Spirit. So is Poltergeist Teen Spirit? I doubt it, because I'm thinking that when the remake comes out next year, I think that's when they're going to bring out Poltergeist. And I'm pretty sure that'll definitely be on the table. And then we go to the 90s. Alright? But before we go to the 90s, I want to talk about Judd Nelson. Judd Nelson was a part of the Boondock Saints too. So, with Judd Nelson and Judge Reinhold both connecting to potentially Boondock Saints, is that going to be our property? No. Don't think so at all. Now, there's connections to Scream via Parker Posey. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Matthew McConaughey, obviously, he has a connection to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. No Texas, no need, because obviously we just had one in Hollywood. I don't see that happening again, at least not this soon. So, we're going to go to the 90s now, and I'm going to talk about American Pie. Well, the only person that I could connect with American Pie was Seann William Scott. Seann William Scott was a voice in the Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. So, could our dream property be Dawn of the Dead? Maybe. It's potential. You never know. And to connect Dazed and Confused would be using Jason London, who was in the Rage, which was the Carrie 2 that came out. Do I think that it connects to Carrie? No, probably not. But it's good to throw it out there. Now, Dr. Jimmy came up with a unique perspective here, and he said something about maybe it is connected to a television property called Freaks and Geeks. Well, I checked the very long cast list of Freaks and Geeks, and I came up with a few notable names. The It Man right now, James Franco, was on a television movie called An American Crime. Yet another connection to An American Werewolf in London, potentially. And Kevin Corrigan was a part of Exorcist 3. So another connection to The Exorcist. So what am I saying? Well, let's look at it from this perspective. I laid out not all the options, but the options that I have been able to delve into over the last several hours. So, I'll tell you what Teen Spirit is not. Teen Spirit's not the Boondock Saints. Teen Spirit's not Dead Zone. Teen Spirit's not the Lost Boys. Teen Spirit's not Ghostbusters. I don't think Teen Spirit's Poltergeist. And I'm not going to say it's The Shining, because I think that Malcolm's The Shining. So what do we have? Well, two things. Number one, there's another option that I completely glossed over because I forgot how major this was. But then again, this is also something they were talking about doing, and the Horror Nights Updaters even brought it up, and I even brought it up in the last video, as a dream property that would have to be shared, and that is Alien. Now, Robert Romanus from Fast Times was on Alien Nation, and there's a lot of connections to Alien properties via all these movies. So, Alien would be a connection. Is Alien in the criteria? Oh yeah, for sure. But it's not Alien. Teen Spirit's not Alien. So what am I saying? Well, there's one of two options. I believe Teen Spirit is The Exorcist. Why? Well, you have the connections. You have the connection to Weird Science with Bill Paxton. No, long day. Connections with Weird Science with Michael Berryman. The Teenage Exorcist, St. Michael's. It fits perfectly. And even if you want to go into it, Kevin Corrigan from Freaks and Geeks. You can throw that out there, even though it was only in like one episode. So I guess the real connection would be Michael Berryman. And I'll give a shout out to Fair Arts for coming up with that. Or here's my answer. I would love this to be The Exorcist. And if it's The Exorcist, it's a share. It has to be. This is a big deal. Orlando and Hollywood could share The Exorcist and The Shining this year at Halloween Horror Nights 24, and it's going to be phenomenal. But here's what I'm thinking. Now, if this is Hollywood only, there's no share at all, no potential of a share, I believe that option 2 is in effect. And option 2 is Teen Spirit is an American Werewolf in London. First off, I already said that it was coming to Hollywood anyway, and I still believe it's going to. Whether it's this code word or another, I still think American Werewolf is coming to Hollywood this year. And I also think they're going to get Cabin in the Woods. I tried to connect Cabin in the Woods, I couldn't, so it's not there. Now, the connection, obviously, here is through one of the queens of the 80s, and that's Molly Ringwald. Or, if you want to go in a different direction, if you want to go into what Dr. Jimmy was talking about through James Franco, or if you want to go in a direction that you're really not thinking about, it could go through Brooke Shields. All three of these things are pointing towards an American Werewolf in London being Teen Spirit. Now, I was trying to connect Griffin Dunn to something, and I really couldn't, so it wasn't going to work out there. And that's not what this is about. So, that's what I'm thinking. Now, we don't know if I'm right. I can't say I doubt myself here, but I think that it's probably one of the two. I really do. I think that unless I find out something otherwise, there is probably 50-50 that it's either The Exorcist or an American Werewolf in London. That's what I'm thinking. That's the wavelength that Suro and Disney is on right now. Now, there's that other clue that just throws a wrench in everything. And that would be the clue that it has something to do with poker. Now, obviously, I went the direct route of Googling poker terminology. That didn't help. And the first thing, when I heard these code words, the first thing that popped in my mind was American Werewolf in London, and that was going to be my clue. That was going to be my answer. It was going to be American Werewolf in London. It's going to have to be. Then I was like, okay, I don't know how to get a poker terminology out of it. I don't know where they're going with that. But maybe that's a red herring. It's possible. Or maybe I'm just not reading into it deep enough, which is always a possibility as well. But I took a lot of time tonight to try to come up with what I thought this property was going to be. And I think right now, as of this very moment, I would say that both fit the criteria. The first thing, obviously, this is a freak-out property. This is a house or a maze, depending on which coast you're on, that is going to mark out the community. Not just Halloween Horror Nights fans, but the general public. And both of these options will do just that. Remember how successful Werewolf was in Orlando last year. Best house of the year, probably one of the best houses ever, and that was voted on by fans. I love that house in every way possible. Everything was picture perfect. Just, I said this a billion times in the review videos, but it was like you were walking through the movie. It really was. So, is John Murdy getting a crack at Werewolf this year? It's a very good possibility. Or are Mike Aiello and John Murdy going to share The Exorcist? There's a lot of iconic things that obviously will have to be done perfectly. And I really look forward to see exactly what this property really is. Whether it's Werewolf, whether it's The Exorcist, whether it's something I'm not even thinking of. The key here is we're thinking. It's the middle of March now, and we are thinking about Halloween Horror Nights. That is a thing of wonderment, folks. It really is. So, I will continue to delve into this subject as soon as I find out more information. And just to make sure that Murdy hasn't said anything in the time that we are chatting together, I will go ahead and check that real quick. And it doesn't appear that he's going to say anything else. Nope, he's done for the night. So, excuse me. Again, to all the Halloween Horror Nights updaters all over the internet, all my good friends, and people that hopefully will become friends in the near future, shout out to all of you, and I will enjoy your videos like I hope you guys and girls out there enjoy mine. And again, to Dr. Jimmy, hopefully Halloween Horror Nights history video is coming in the near future, and I cannot wait for April 1st to find out everything that's coming to Halloween Horror Nights 24 in Orlando. Really looking forward to that video, Jimmy, as always. So, that will be the conclusion of my delving for the evening, and this is your video for Monday now, apparently, because it's after midnight, so I can say that now. Wrestling fans, obviously, sorry about it's been timing on the SmackDown video. You'll get it later today, mark my words. And that's pretty much going to be the end of this. Until I find out more anything else, I will shoot you guys out a video like I have been doing, and I'm going to go ahead and get off here now. So, in the meantime, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, and help spread the word about Pop. If you'd like to like our Facebook fan page, it's Sir Owen Disney Pop. If you'd like to like me on Facebook, be my friend on Facebook, it's Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. And last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions, ideas you have for Halloween Horror Nights 24, what you think Malcolm is, what you think Teen Spirit is. Go ahead and send me an email. And I know a lot of you guys and girls out there have been lately, and I duly appreciate it. It's SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.